He had all the money in the world. Private jets, luxury cars, and a name that could open any door. But that night, sitting alone in a small-town diner, dressed in a worn-out jacket and jeans, billionaire Ethan Cross realized something money could never buy: the truth about himself. When the waitress slipped a folded note beneath his plate instead of the bill, his heart froze. The words inside would drag him into a world far from boardrooms and billion-dollar deals. A world of pain, sacrifice, and humanity he had long forgotten. And that note, it didn't just change his life. It saved it. The rain poured over the neon-lit streets of a forgotten town called Millbrook. Ethan Cross, CEO of one of the largest real estate empires in the country, drove into town behind the wheel of a rusted pickup truck, something his assistants would have called a PR disaster. But tonight wasn't about publicity. It was about truth. Ethan had everything: wealth, influence, power. But lately, he couldn't shake the emptiness gnawing inside him. His company was accused of buying out low-income neighborhoods, evicting families, and tearing down small businesses to make way for luxury towers. Public outrage was growing, and so was his guilt. Though he'd never admit it aloud, he wanted to see the world his company had changed from the eyes of the people who had nothing left. So, he went undercover. No security. No chauffeur. Just him, Ethan Cross, pretending to be Ethan Cole, a drifter looking for a meal. He stopped by a small roadside diner with a flickering "Open" sign. Inside, it smelled like coffee, grace, and home. Something he hadn't felt in years. A young waitress approached, wearing a faded name tag that read, Lena. Her smile was kind, but there was exhaustion behind it. "What can I get you, sir?" she asked softly. "Just a steak," he replied. "Medium rare." She nodded, but her eyes lingered on him for a moment. Curious, cautious, as if she was reading something behind his disguise. As she walked away, Ethan noticed how she limped slightly, like someone who'd been on her feet for far too long. When she returned with his meal, she hesitated before setting the plate down. Beneath it, just barely visible, was a folded napkin. He frowned and pulled it out discreetly. The note was written in hurried handwriting. "Please, if you really have money, help me. They're taking my home tomorrow." The Ethan froze. He looked up, and Lena had already turned away, pretending to serve another customer. His mind raced. Was this some scam? A setup? But the desperation in her note didn't feel fake. It felt raw. After finishing his meal, he quietly left $100 bill under the plate and stepped outside into the rain. But something inside him wouldn't let him drive away. He turned back, walked inside, and asked the cook, "That waitress, Lena. Where does she live?" The cook gave him a puzzled look. "Why do you want to know?" Ethan hesitated. "Just tell her. The guy who ordered the steak wants to talk." That night, he drove through the dark streets until he found her, standing outside a run-down apartment building, clutching a stack of papers and crying in the rain. Lena jumped slightly when she saw him approach. "What are you doing here?" she asked, her voice trembling. "I read your note," Ethan said gently. "Tell me what's going on." She hesitated, unsure if she could trust him. But when she looked into his eyes that didn't belong to a man judging her, she finally spoke. "They're evicting us," she said, her voice breaking. "The company that bought this building, Cross Development. They raised the rent, and my mom's been sick. I work 2 jobs, but it's not enough. They said we have until tomorrow to leave." Ethan's heart sank. Cross Development. His company. He swallowed hard, feeling the weight of the irony crush him. She didn't know who he really was. The villain in her story was standing right in front of her. "Do you have anywhere to go?" he asked. She shook her head. "No. But I can't give up. My mom needs her medicine. I'll figure something out." He watched her strength, her quiet courage, and for the first time in years, he felt something real. Guilt, empathy, purpose. "Lena," he said softly, "if someone wanted to help you, would you let them?" She gave a tired laugh. "Sir, people like you don't just show up in diners and help girls like me." But he did. That night, Ethan called his attorney from a payphone, hiding his voice. "I want you to stop the eviction at 426 Maple Street. effective immediately. The next morning, Lena received a letter from the same company that once doomed her family, stating the eviction had been cancelled, and her rent had been reduced indefinitely. She ran to the diner, tears streaming down her face, hoping to thank the stranger who'd somehow made it happen. But Ethan was gone. No note, no number. Just the memory of his quiet smile and the kindness in his eyes. Weeks later, a local news story aired about billionaire Ethan Cross, the same man she had unknowingly served steak to that night, announcing a major shift in his company's policy. Effective immediately, Cross Development will rebuild affordable housing in every community we've impacted. Real success means lifting others with you. Lena dropped her coffee cup in shock. That was him, her customer. Months later, Ethan returned to that same diner. Not as a billionaire, not as a CEO, but as a man who had rediscovered his humanity. Lena smiled when she saw him and said, "Back for another steak?" He chuckled. "Yeah. But this time it's on me." Sometimes, the richest people in the world aren't the ones with the most money, but the ones who remember what it means to care. And sometimes, all it takes is one handwritten note to change the heart of a billionaire.